Thank you. Recently, I traveled on a fact-finding mission to China that lasted 3 weeks. During that time, I traveled to 7 cities, plus Lhasa, Tibet. What I found is consistent with a materialistic society that surveys show is 47% atheistic. Material possession, rather than human rights or compassion, are paramount concerns among the general population. In the larger cities, Bentleys and Buicks are everywhere on the overcrowded roads, and the trains and planes are full of the middle class and wealthy, enjoying their newly acquired trophies of their labors. Among the people, there is no concern for those who fall through the cracks in the society, either economically or socially. China is the model of America without a soul. Since my last visit to China decades ago, Christians in general have a far greater public role in the society, and almost all Christians seem to face far less official persecution. Christians are not bothered at all by the non-believing public, which is largely unconcerned with religious beliefs of others. Most house and family churches which are not registered are not bothered by the government unless there is some degree of activism that is viewed as political. This new tolerance of the Chinese government and by the general population of China, however, is not shown toward the Falun Gong practitioners, who are seen as a threat to the careful commercial web that has been built in China through what can best be described as national socialism or managed capitalism. China, for all its modernization and newly adopted Western culture, is a nation without a soul. That fact is easily reflected in the willingness of businessmen, for the sake of profit, to put cheap and dangerous fillers that can be lethal into infant formula. And this in a nation that only permits one child. The sale of human organs from those in prison, including Falun Gong practitioners, should then come as no surprise. Many profit from the practice of human organ sales in China, including the wealthy Americans who do not wish to wait in line for transplants in this nation. Americans who are as soulless as those that profit from the organ sales of those held in captivity. Democracy is a process that can really only function in a Judeo-Christian environment. It is a product of that environment and would wholly become mob rule in China, with minorities worse off than they are today, as has been the case in Middle Eastern nations which have tried to implement democratic systems. Freedom and human rights are separate concepts from democracy and are being very cautiously explored by the Chinese government under domestic pressure. The West should and must be working to bring that nation's leaders in line with the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights. In a nation such as ours, where people are happy to buy Christmas lights made in prison camps, labor camps, rather than pay for those that are made by free men, the process of causing change is made very difficult in China, as it is in other nations that abuse human rights, including Vietnam and Pakistan. We are here today willing to speak out, but the reality is that most of the congressmen and senators in this majestic building behind me are unwilling to cast any vote that dampens relationships with our nation's biggest trading partner, China. Yet it is our duty to speak out, to continue the drumbeat for all those repressed in the world because of the manner in which they practice their faith. Although big corporations and profiteers would prefer us to be silent, we cannot be. The Falun Gong deserves the right to practice their faith in China as freely as is seen here on the lawn of the Capitol building today. We must speak out. Thank you.